Hi everybody, welcome to the 7th episode of the WimLex podcast. We're here live at the Emir's Digital Teams event, and today with us is Julian Jagtenberg. He's one of the founders of Somnox, and Somnox helps you against sleep deprivation. Julian, could you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, so my name is Julian. I am one of the founders of Somnox, a robotics engineer at the University of Delft. That's where I came from. And during that time, I found my mom suffering from sleep deprivation, and I made it my mission to create robots to help people sleep better. That's the short story.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you said before that 2 out of 3 Dutch people have a problem with their sleep?
Yeah, exactly. So
the market is rather large then?
Yeah, and it becomes bigger and bigger. I mean, I'm sure that some of you have seen it in the news. Like every month, there's this random news article about how bad we're sleeping. And actually, it's 2 out of 3 people that do not get the sleep they should have. And this is a huge problem because most people think of sleep as something that is, well, you do it because you have to. But if you not take it seriously, you put not only yourselves, but also others at risk. Imagine the impact of drowsy driving. There's more people being killed by driving drowsy than by drinking under influence. It does not only kill the people behind the wheel, but also innocent people on the road. Or the costs of the loss of productivity in the workplace. And the most important one is that if you do not sleep well, you have a direct impact on your immune system. Wow. It doubles your chances on cancer. You get fatter and Alzheimer's. It's really, it may sound like ridiculous, but it's really true. The shorter you sleep, the shorter you live. So that's why it's so important that we take it more seriously.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, okay, you have this, you identify this problem. Your mother has it as well. Mm-hmm. You're a robotics engineer by heart. Mm-hmm. How did you come up with the product itself?
Yeah, so because I found that my mom had this problem, and it wasn't just sleeping once in the week. Like she was every single day. She was awake at 4 a.m. in the morning, and she was taking pills, right? And these pills changed who she was. She was addicted. She had all sorts of harmful side effects. So I started challenging myself to see, okay, what kind of technology is out there to help her instead of these chemicals. And I digged into literature and I found that breathing and audio were proven effective methods of inducing sleep. And there was also this paper about if a mother and a child hold a baby, if they hold each other, they synchronize their breath because they feel it, and also their heart rate, which is something really magical. It's a concept we call mirroring. And I took that concept, translated it into various prototypes, so something that would physically breathe in and out and that could make sounds and that could act in the right moment. I brought those prototypes to my mom. The first one she really hated because they made a lot of mechanical noise. But after a while, it really started working for her. She started taking less pills, she started sleeping more additional hours, and that's where it all took off because it was an academic project in the first place and it, sort of got out of hand. Yeah.
Wow. And how you collect the data in the robot? Mm-hmm. Obviously, there are other tools that you could use to measure your sleep activity.
For sure, yeah.
Fitbit and Apple also has solutions. Yep. Can you connect Somnox to those machines as well?
At the moment, not yet, but it's definitely in the pipeline because we really believe that we should connect the data that you gather during the day to be applied during the night. Because what happens during the day in the workplace, for example, a stressful meeting, really impacts your quality of sleep during the night. So there is no product yet that connects these two things. It's only about measuring sleep. Yeah. But again, what happens during the day is just as important as what happens during the night. So there's a lot of devices tracking sleep. I mean, actually, it's not that innovative anymore. You have Fitbits, your phone can do it. Yeah. So what we do is we do not only track sleep, we want to make the next step, which is analyzing the data in real time and helping you sleep in the bed itself. Yeah. Because now you only see a graph saying you've been sleeping very badly. And I think it's so weird that you get a sleep score as if you're in elementary school saying, here's a 6. You suck at sleeping. Well, thank you. That helps me not at all. So we want to not show you the data, but use the data for the robot to have a more tailored approach. Yeah.
I have a question regarding the market. So you're telling like 2 out of 3 persons in the Netherlands do have problems with sleeping. I saw your YouTube commercial from your website. I think there it was like 1 out of 5 or 2 out of 5 in the world.
Yeah.
And if we drill down the market a little bit, so how many of those potential customers are sleeping not so well because of stress, or other influences that can't be relieved by a robot,
Yep.
and how many people are there in the market that really need like a smart robot or something what you're developing. Can you drill down a little bit on this?
Yeah, because it's a great question, because sleep is a very mysterious and complex activity we spend 1/3 of our lives doing. And we still, as humans,
not your customers.
Not our customers, exactly. So not everyone does it as well as they should. However, there are various reasons why people do not sleep well, and definitely the robot is not for everyone. So if you look at sleep problems, there are various known ones, such as sleep apnea, restless leg syndrome, insomnia. And what we found is that our robot in specific is very effective for the ones that are suffering from stress-related insomnia, which is, statistically speaking, the biggest group of people. These are the people that are worried during the night, that are not able to fall asleep or wake up at 4 a.m. feeling anxious and stressed because of whatever is going on in their life. And because of the 24/7 economy, we need to be connected all the time. We're reading our emails just before nighttime. And I couldn't really attach a number because it varies from country to country. But the numbers for stress-related insomnia is 1 out of 5. So 2 out of 3 people do not get the recommended 8 hours of sleep.
Okay.
That's what we define sleep deprivation for. And then 1 out of 5 people is actually suffering from stress-related sleep deprivation.
And can you tell us a little bit more about the status of your company? So is the product already out there? Are you still running like a Kickstarter kind of campaign? Or can I buy it if I want to try it?
Yeah, so we ran a Kickstarter campaign last year in November where we raised $500,000 on Indiegogo and Kickstarter itself. And at the moment we are in the manufacturing process. So we have just released 150 robots already as a soft launch, so to say. So the first ones from the manufacturer already came in. We distributed those among the soft launch participants to really see, okay, what's working well, what's not working so well. And then in December we start shipping the 3,000 pre-orders that we already have to the people that have pre-ordered it.
And can you tell us a little bit more about the pricing model?
Yeah, so at the moment it's available for 550 euros, and a lot of people feel like, whoa, that's a lot of money. It really depends on how you value your sleep.
Yeah, it's kind of, it looks like a smart cushion. So when you're following the video,
Yeah, and that is something like, it's really challenging. It's a new to the world product. So a lot of people think, this is a pillow, and why on earth is a pillow 550 euros? First of all, it's not a pillow, it's a sleep robot. We really want to define a new category in the market, just like the iPhone or the Walkman. So people buy it up front, like direct sales, 550 euros. They get a 30-night trial to see if it works for them. If it doesn't, they can return it for free and they get their money back.
And can you tell me a little bit more about the solutions already out there? So I've learned when I was still employed in my corporate environment that, like, for example, high performance consultant people use special apps on their smartphone to find the best spot to wake up in the morning. Not only like 6 in the morning every day, but depending how you're sleeping. So what is like your sleeping curve? I don't know how you're measuring it. There are some tools on the market already. So
for sure,
which are working well. I guess the best tool is to get all the stress out of your life, which isn't possible for most of the people in the 24/7 economy, especially for people with kids, which are like a big stress factor. Usually,
for sure.
At least I would perceive it that way. Though, what is like the market shape right now without your customers?
So I feel like the market is booming at the moment. All sorts of tools and solutions pop up, and I think it's great because, well, as I said, sleep is very complex. You need to find a solution that is for your particular situation. So to give you an insight of what the market looks like, you can either go to the, like say, the medical side of things, which is your general practitioner, a sleep expert, or do a sleep study, which is, well, the more severe cases. Then we have medication, which is the go-to and most popular thing to go to. It's cheap, it's over the counter, it works immediately. However, it's fake sleep, basically. It gets you to sleep, but it doesn't help you get the quality sleep. There's a difference. Most people see sleep as something which is either like a switch, you sleep or you're awake. There's much more going on. You have certain sleep cycles, actually 5 stages. Then the other parts come in. So
and you say medication doesn't bring you to the desired stage; it only brings you to like stage 1 or 2,
exactly.
which is like your eyes are closed and
yeah. So you feel like you're asleep, but actually, when you wake up, you're still feeling drowsy. So, and a sleep cycle, to give you a bit of sleep science here, it consists of 5 stages, and every stage is essential to recover body and mind. So let's say the 5th stage, like REM sleep, where you dream, is very important to process emotions. So there's also a correlation between people being depressed and that they're also not dreaming. So there you can see that if this pill gets you to sleep, but doesn't bring you to all these stages, so let's say stage 3 is responsible for restoring your muscles, you won't recover the way you should, because sleep in the end is the most natural medicine out there. So that's for medication, and it's what most people take now. But then there is coaching, so you have cognitive behavioral therapy, because as you said, it's also about getting more insights about your sleep schedule. When should I go to bed at the same time, wake up at the same time? And then you have the sleep technology, which is the category that we're in. You see Philips, that's a big player, of course, is getting into the space. They just launched a headband that can measure your sleep based upon brain waves and then play a certain clicking sound to deepen your sleep. So they are also really about giving the value.
And that works?
They say it works. There is clinical proof. So I have one actually. I think it's a great product, especially for measuring, because brain waves is a very accurate way to measure rather than the accelerometer in your phone. But I have to say that it is kind of annoying to wear a headband once you're asleep. But that's something just really personal.
And maybe one more question based on the status of your company, and I'm pretty sure a lot of like Indiegogo, Kickstarter people feel relieved that you're really shipping product, because you have so many examples around of campaigns that never ship any kind of product. That's cool to hear. So did you get some worldwide demand, or how did it work out for you, or is it like really like a Dutch thing?
No, not at all. So we are a global brand, and let's first of all state that hardware is really hard. So I think it's very adventurous of someone to run a Kickstarter campaign in hardware, because it's really hard to do it. Software is so much easier to launch. So we also experience a delay. So we were supposed to be shipping this month, and now we're shipping in December. So there's already a delay, and which is really shitty, of course, but it's part of the journey of being a hardware entrepreneur, but also the most fun one. So yeah, and we have we didn't have the goal to just do the Netherlands, because sleep deprivation is a global crisis, in my opinion. So we went to CES in Las Vegas. We had a lot of media coverage. So in the United States, like 45% of our orders are from the United States already, and 30% is of the Netherlands, and also Japan is really interested in our product, because they are working really hard, feeling sometimes a bit lonely, and sleep super shitty. So yeah, we really want to have a global brand established, just like the Fitbits.
And just to clarify this, in this development of the global brand, you're now in the stage that you're shipping like the first products and shipping out like for your like test group, and shipping out like 3,000 sleep robots then in December. Hopefully it works out, and most people will like the product, and if you have like people recommending your product, that is like a home run probably, because it's then 500 euros. It's really not so much money, because it's that's what a good hotel costs for like 2 nights. And then people would rather invest in such a tool. So is there like still a lot of risks in this kind of journey, or are you super convinced that the way you are targeting this kind of problem is a good way for most of people, because you don't have this headband issue, which I can think of. I saw your video and it looks like a cushion. I don't know how soft it is. It looks like a kind of a hard case. It's just as soft as
a pillow, so to say.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. However, there is a plastic core inside, so if you will squeeze it real hard, you will feel that there is something more stiff. But it's very soft. But I think the main challenge and the most thing that keeps me awake is really about, what will people in the end feel about it after 40 days. So because the tests and the studies that we've run so far is sleeping with it for 2 weeks with the device and 2 weeks without the device. So on the effect, I'm really sure that it works because we have significant results of an accelerated process of falling asleep. But what will happen after 40 nights of using it? Are people becoming dependent? What will they keep using it? What will be the retention
Which will be good
rate?
for your business model.
Which will be super good for our business model, but in the end, our goal is to be the substitute of this addictive medication, so it would be weird to offer something else that is addictive as well. However, I'd rather have something cuddly than something chemicals in my body that I'm addicted to. So I think that is the thing that I'm, well, not worried about, but that I'm very, very interested in what that will look like. And that will only show us as soon as it's there.
And from the how many people tested it so far?
112 were participating in the research that I just stated.
And all had kind of sleeping problems?
No, these were healthy participants. So in sleep research, most of the time, if you validate interventions such as these, you make use of healthy participants because you need to have the same subset of parameters because an insomniac can have various reasons why they're not sleeping. So there's not a fair participant group to make a good conclusion from. Yeah.
And can you tell us a little bit more about the hardware producing process? Or really, I know software because we are running a software company, which is not easy at all. Just to just to be clear about that.
Yeah.
So how is hardware working? Do you find like Dutch producers? Do you need to go to China to find producers?
Yeah, so we were very lucky that we found our partner in bed, which is Auping, Royal Auping. It's a mattress manufacturer, actually the #1 circular bed manufacturer in Europe. It's a Dutch company, and they have the mission of helping people sleep better. But they are also finding the market very challenging with these mattress companies like Emma, Matt Sleeps, Casper.
Yeah, a couple of them left the market like a couple of weeks ago.
Exactly, yeah, but those are great digital marketeers that just get mattresses out of China that are shit, but have a very great way of, marketing it. So Auping found this challenge as well, and they want to, innovate by, incorporating us as a co-design, just as Intel inside a Hewlett & Packard laptop. So we make use of their supply chain, basically, which is perfect because we didn't have to source every manufacturer from injection molding to whatever. We could just make use of the ones they were already working with for 35 years. And they are based in Taiwan and the Netherlands. So
going back to your go-to-market strategy,
you
said that you already have 3,000 pre-orders, which is a great result.
Yep.
Obviously, you have a much larger goal for your company. How do you go to market? What is your e-commerce strategy, for example?
Good question. So 3,000 is nothing upon a global scale. So, but again, as a pre-order, I think it's it gives us a sign that we're onto something, so to say. So first of all, we will be available through e-commerce, through our own web shop, but also Amazon will be our main channel. We have Bol.com, Coolblue, all those people already lined up towards the launch. So that is like a trusted source to buy things, right? With also a certain guarantee within the 30 days trying. You can return it for free. So all those benefits, those are very important to us. But how we will go to market is not only being available in these online channels, we also need to make people experience it. So the retail is also important to us. So for example, in the Netherlands, we will be in the Bijenkorf, in an Auping store, we will be in various hotels, so you can spend the night with the robot for yourselves, but also across the globe. So in the Netherlands and in Asia, we have certain retailers distributing our products. And how we will announce it is by hosting various pajama parties to make people aware of it. So over the time, we have been in touch with a lot of journalists because they're really interested in our product. Everyone's sleeping, so everyone can talk about it, and it's rather strange, right? So we had a lot of requests of journalists saying, can we review it? And the time is finally there, so we will have pajama parties in hotels where we invite these journalists. We will do a keynote, and then after that, they can go to their hotel room, give the robot a try, and in that way we try to get journalist reviews and user reviews in advance of the launch, so that at the moment you go, boom, there is immediately we will be in the Times, the Wall Street Journal, The Verge, to have global media coverage, and then also be available through the channels people already trust with reviews that say it's working for me and you can try it for 30 nights.
Nice.
Yeah.
And you said e-commerce is an important threshold,
Yeah.
retail as well.
Yeah.
And you mentioned hotels where you ask people to try it out.
Yeah.
I can imagine that B2B could be a channel for you as well. For example,
Sure.
if you're in a stressful situation, like in a hospital, or taking an overnight flight,
Yep.
those are moments as well that you could experience sleep deprivation that could be solved by your product. Is there, are you going after the consumer market in a direct way, or are you thinking of a B2B strategy as well?
Yeah, so we really have two sides of our business. So the first one is being very good at e-commerce ourselves, because obviously the margin is, well, very nice there. And but the B2B side is already something we're exploring. So the hotels we already have, I can't announce yet which ones it are, but we have one of the biggest hotel chains working with us to be available around the world. So this is a huge, huge deal for us, because it's not only sales towards the business in a hotel, it's also an autonomous way of marketing, because people come in, they try the robot, and it's free marketing, and they can experience it. So it's a great bootstrap growth hacking strategy to get not only sales from the hotel, but also potential customers coming in. But yeah, so sleep deprivation is everywhere. It affects all of us. So there is so much potential in the market. So hotels is one thing, but in the B2B market, we're talking to KLM. Not only their personnel needs to be productive and energetic, and they suffer from jet lags. So this is something we explore. But another one, and I think that's one of the most interesting ones, is the healthcare sector. So think about recovering from an operation, right? You need to, the better you sleep, the faster you recover. This is proven. So if we can accelerate the process, we have a business case, because you have to have less medication, the run-through time of being in a hospital bed gets shortened, so that's a huge case, because that's their biggest goal, right? And also in care institutions. So let's say elderly with dementia. We had this really cool story of a pilot we ran with an elderly lady that lost her husband 3 years ago. She was always anxious during the night. She got out of bed, panicked, like, where's my husband? The nurse had to come in and give her medication to calm her down. It was kind of a problematic situation. We took an audio fragment of a video file of her husband talking. We programmed it into the robotic and also programmed a certain breathing rhythm. And we gave it to her. And what happened was kind of magical, because this lady, which used to panic because where was her husband, she could now hear her husband and feel it, because there was some softness and it was breathing. And there we proved that we could reduce medication intake, reduce the amount of times the nurse came in. So it's not about helping people sleep better, it's also about reducing costs and hours of certain professionals in this sector. So yeah, we will be doing a lot of cool things in the upcoming months in the healthcare sector.
And then, of course, the proof is in the pudding. In the examples that you talked about KLM, about the elderly lady in the healthcare sector.
Yeah.
The proof is in data and data storage, in comparing previous sleep patterns with current sleep patterns.
Yeah.
How do you collect that data, and how do you make use of data in your future sales, but also in convincing the broader audience that your product actually helps?
Yeah, so we all know that data is the new oil, right? And I think you have this thing like privacy by design. And we feel that the market and the consumers are more aware of their data, and that there is value in the data. So 2 years ago, you could get everything from them in return for a free app, a free whatever. But I feel like as a company, you need to either be Apple or you need to be Google. As in, Apple really says to you, okay, the data is yours, you can keep it, and that is our unique selling point. And Google says you can have something really cheap and for free, but in return, we want your data, right? It's either these models. And we want to be the one like Apple. So although there is a huge opportunity in the data, right, we feel like other people in this space, like the Philips and whatever, they are already doing this. And we want to differentiate ourselves to becoming the data we gather with the robot, because we have a lot of sensors, we have a survey that we ask every morning. You can say, okay, I want to provide my data to you for research purposes, to do statistical analysis, so we can do software updates to make it smarter over time. But really by your, as a person, explicit consent that we can. So it becomes a unique selling point to have the data in your hands rather than in hours from the start you have the product. Yeah.
So in the future you become a software company as well then?
Of course, yeah. I mean, everyone's a software and a tech company nowadays. So in the space of sleep, you should be as well. Yeah, yeah.
And how do you collect that data? Because you said privacy is obviously an important thing. Is there? Do you have like policies in place with GDPR?
Yep.
That's a huge topic right now. Is
Yep.
How compliant are you with the data that you have from a very private and personal situation of somebody?
I mean, the bedroom is the most private room in the house, right? So you do not want your data that is gathered there to be published across the web or to be used for advertising. So let's say that health data, which is the data we gather, is one of the most high risk and most high secured data sources that you can gather, right? So we need to be compliant of like the highest grade. I think health and financial and religious data, those are the ones that are the most sensitive. So we need to have everything in place which comes to secure servers. Like Amazon servers we don't use. We make use of dedicated servers that are CE certificated. So they have like medical state-of-the-art claims that they have secure data storage, so to say. But also in the whole gathering of data, so in the robot we gather movement, sounds, heart rate and respiratory rate, so the rate you're breathing, and we gather surveys. So how are you feeling, how have you been progressing, like a journal. Okay. So this is very private information, and not only we store it safely, but we also ask for explicit consent for every step we take. And again, the data is local, and only if you allow us to, we will upload it to our cloud for statistical analysis.
Okay, and that's then anonymized.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have a question regarding the corporations, the B2B corporations you've mentioned with KLM and the others. Did you get those contacts or the access to those partners through your Indiegogo PR campaign?
Yeah.
And then they came to you and said, okay, let's cooperate because it's such a big market?
Yeah, so I think something amazing happened because us getting so much media coverage, a lot of people, like we targeted the consumer, right? But then a lot of companies, care institutions, healthcare, KLM, hotels, started reaching out because they saw the benefit without us really marketing it. So it was, let's say it was a pivot in a sense. We didn't expect them to approach us. We didn't actively do so, but they approached us.
And how did the campaign started? Or how did it start? I think a lot of founders are like trying to figure out to get some reach, and they all have like great products, and usually they're focusing on B2C problems like you're focusing on. Can you remember like a certain momentum where you said, okay, it was like an interview with the Delft #1 newspaper, or the Delft #1 newspaper, or whatever. Was there such a moment?
Yeah, there's not one moment that is really defined our success, but I think if we look at the data, it really was a peak in revenue, so to say. So actually we had a very intense PR approach, and The Verge, which is a tech magazine in New York, actually one of our founders flew over there just to go to The Verge's office and give them a prototype. It was a bit of a rebellious move because we didn't have any appointment. We were just, okay, we need to be in The Verge because we know that the readers of the magazine, they are really into tech and also into productivity. So it was a sweet spot. And
so they read it at night, they have a sleeping problem.
Yeah, exactly. So one of us flew over to New York, went to their office just without an appointment, but they appreciate it in a sense because we had a whole gift package with the robot and a user guide and like another gift to make them feel like, wow, these guys are so dedicated, we can't say no because they came all the way over here. And that's what happened. So we were talking to their chief editor, actually. They were sleeping with it. They were really enthusiastic. And based upon that article came out, like I think on that day itself, like half of the campaign's revenue came in from that particular article.
When was that?
This was in December.
We can link this article on SoundCloud showing it. That's interesting to learn. Though without such an article, you would say it would have been much harder to attract as many customers.
Yeah, because based upon that article, like a lot of other journalists read The Verge. So then other like Forbes reached out to us because they read something on The Verge. And when it's on Forbes, people start writing on it on a very niche blogs. And in the end, I think the power is in the blog section. So you have this tactic of Ryan Holiday. It's a book called Trust Me, I'm Lying. You should really check it out and put it in the description as well. And he basically describes how to hack journalism and the media. Because the way media works, and I'll keep it brief, is that you first need to target tiny blog posts, let's say a local Amsterdam blogger that has 300 readers a week. And if he starts writing about you and you have the bottom layer, like let's say 100 blog posts that are happy to write about you for free, then the newspapers start writing about you, right?
Yeah.
The Volkskrant and local newspapers. And when they start writing about you, the bigger ones start writing. So it's like a pyramid model. But you need to start down low, and you feel like, why am I targeting this tiny blog? But in the end, that may help you get into Wired, Forbes, The Verge.
So we've been in Wired then too?
Yeah, we've been in Wired as well.
But The Verge was like the most important
during our campaign on our web shop. So what was really cool, last month we were like selected as a Wired 25 Innovation of the Year. So
globally?
So 2 weeks ago we went to San Francisco to attend their festival because they exist for 25 years now, so it was their anniversary. And for that anniversary they had selected a few innovations that may come over to San Francisco. And there was the CEO of Microsoft, Google, I think of Airbnb, like those were the keynote speakers. So it was really cool to see these giants that were shaping the world of today as a keynote speaker and us being on the exhibitor floor. So there we got a lot of traction as well, and then on our web shop a lot of orders came in. Yeah.
That's cool. So I have a question. I'd like to follow up on your business model. I understand that probably like the first purchase is profitable because with like 500 euros you should be able to produce such a product. But most mattress startups, and you're in the same industry actually, most mattress startups are failing or have failed because they can't motivate a second purchase, because then if you've sold a mattress, in the next mattress you probably need one for another room, but usually you change it like after 5, 6, 7 years, and then it's already beginning. Although you can't send like weekly mattress newsletters, so news tricks in sleeping. And I see like the same dead end here. So
for sure.
Once you've convince the customer to buy such a product and he's happy though, and he's going to stick with your product. So what kind of upsell will you sell then? Sleeping seminars? Will you sell an app where you can rather optimize your sleep? That's something Willem told you?
So I think the customer lifetime value is really important. That is in the end one of the things that you should take into account, because as you stated, like Alping has this problem. Their mattresses are used for 30 years. They're that good. So they lose their customers basically. And what we want to do is have this recurring component, because now we have direct sales. But the thing is that through our measurements, we can give tailored advice, like the cognitive behavioral therapy that I told you about. So as an upsell, you can basically subscribe to our coaching program, which is tips through the app. It's a course, a seminar, all sorts of things to not only have the robot, but also change and educate how to improve your lifestyle, how to improve your bedroom. So we have this recurring component that people can subscribe to as an upsell, but also additional accessories to make it more interesting. And we made the product in such a way that if version 2.0 comes out, you can buy an upgrade for your current product to make use of it on the longer term. So in that way, we try to capture.
So you changed then hardware parts from your product?
Yeah, exactly. So we want to make it a circular product to also work towards a sleep as a service. So not only now you can only buy it as a direct sales model.
Sleep as a service.
Yeah,
okay. Interesting.
It's a SaaS solution.
It's a SaaS solution. And then you can rent a device for a couple of months for the next amount of money. We're currently running pilots for this. And then we made it in such a way that it's a circular model, so we're able to repair it, we're able to make a different sleeve around it so that it's hygienic and that it can be used for a different person. So these are the ways we want to avoid this risk that you mentioned with the current mattress startups.
It's not easy. It's not so easy to avoid, because if you look at even like Casper needs to invent like mattresses for dogs or something. So it's a very hard market.
It is really hard
to be in. That's why I've listened so interested in your retail strategy, because somewhere probably like a brick and mortar experience needs to be implemented in this process. I hope for you, of course, that the product is working so good that just word of mouth is good enough for you for the growth. So how many people are working today at Somnox?
So we have 18 people, like full-time employees, with the main part being engineers, and I think like 25% is commercial, so sales and marketing.
And production is then outsourced to the partner mattress company.
So it's really about the research and development, but the manufacturing itself really takes place with the partners in Taiwan.
Okay, and and do you fear, and that like another thing you could find on Indiegogo and Kickstarter's campaign? Do you fear companies that are like copying your product? It's like a meme already, though. You can find like when a Kickstarter campaign starts, you can find the product like 2 weeks later on Alibaba to buy, and that's usually the case for more easy to make smartphone accessoires. But I could imagine that there's like some sleeping cushion meme on Alibaba already. So I will look it up in a minute. But do you feel that?
So don't place the link in the SoundCloud.
Only with affiliate revenue.
Great. No, but I really think that it's the best proof of market fit if there is a copycat. And it's inevitable, because in China, it's a bit generalistic, but the copyright is the right to copy, right? And in Shenzhen, they are just really, 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 really good at making things, but not necessarily about inventing things. Yeah. So I think of course we have our patents in place. I think we have a rather hard to copy product when it comes to the algorithms and the mechanisms inside.
Sleep robot. I'm just thinking about what I should search.
It would be cool to see it now. On the technology perspective, it's quite hard to copy. We have IP in place, like 3 patents pending, and I think the most important thing to be competitive is just to have a superior brand. I mean, look at Fitbit, right? They have copycats of $20, whereas the product itself is $200. But still people buy the Fitbit because of their quality, because of their brand, because of their customer support. In the end, I think it's really about getting a superior quality brand over being the most IP protected.
I don't know if this is true, but because if you're applying this theory on other brands like GoPro, which was their strategy for a couple of years now, it's like having a better software, not a better camera. It's really, really hard to stay ahead of the game, because eventually the price product set will win. So and if you're looking on the numbers on apps like Wish, how many of these like Fitbit competitors or Android watches like for €10, or even like smart actions cams like this one here on the table is a Sony cam for like €120. You can find a copycat working well enough for like $10 including shipment on AliExpress. So I can think about it, and it because it's like usually a one-time purchase, it's really hard to avoid that. And then you have like products in the market where people are saying, no, it's not working at all. I had it from a Chinese website, and that's what I'm thinking about. But if you're like good enough and pushing enough product into the markets fast enough, then it's a question of kind of production quality and production speed that should be avoidable. And it's, as you said, it's cool to have this problem, right? Most entrepreneurs would like to have this.
Yeah, for sure. So for me, it's if it pops up, I kind of hope it pops up, because for us it's really this proof of market fit and that we're really onto something. But yeah, it's a problem, of course. It's challenging, but also you need to know who is your customer, and we want to be a product leader and have not necessarily the cheapest product, but we do have the best materials, we do have the best research, and there will always be people choosing the cheaper, inferior version, which is fine and probably works sort of. But in the end, there's a certain segment that will choose quality over the price. So that's how we try to segmentize ourselves and just maintain that strategy while protecting the technology to make sure that if they're there, we have a lawsuit. That
The good thing I like about your idea is that you're not replacing something. Of course, you're replacing maybe stuff from the chemical industries, but or from the pharmaceutical industries, but you're not replacing hardware. So we had like your colleague from the Delft University, Willem with the Windows.
Yeah.
In here, he has to replace other players in the market, which is much harder to do, and it's like a B2B market.
Yeah.
For you, it's like an additional device nobody had before. So, and that's something from a sales perspective that makes sense. And if you can convince hotels, it might be a win-win-win situation. Do you become like an expert for sleep with this kind of business?
Yeah, so it was actually part of my...
You sleep different now?
Well, I have to say that I do sleep different because it was an academic project at first. So I did a lot of literature studies upon what is sleep, what are the best practices, and now we are in this business for 3 years. So yeah, I have gathered a lot of knowledge about how to sleep well. And where I found it was cool to sleep 2 hours a night because I was working or having drinks and brag about it in the morning, like a badge of honor. Now I really feel stupid. So I take sleep way more seriously. I really try to get these 8 hours of sleep because I know that if I don't, I will make mistakes. So yeah, I do sleep differently. I do not claim I'm a sleep expert because you need to have like a doctor, you need to have a medical certificate. But yeah, you get to know a lot about what's going on.
What are the 3 mistakes that we should avoid? Because
we need for our Instagram stories.
Yeah,
we need
exactly.
like the top three sleeping tips.
Sure. So I think the most easy thing to do is to ask yourselves, how do I feel in the morning? And if you feel exhausted or not energetic in the morning, well, then you should try adjusting your sleep. That's the first thing. Okay. So if you're already feeling fine in the morning, then I would say just go on, right?
But that's a consequence of a mistake. That's not a mistake by itself.
Yeah. So, but if you need coffee in order to be awake, well, you might want to work on your sleep. So, and how to do this? I'd say the first thing is to create a sleep schedule. So what is the time you go to bed and what is the time you wake up? It should be the same time, even in the weekends. So for me, it's like...
How do you then deal with summer and winter time? Are you still keeping the same time schedule now?
Yes, yeah, for sure, yeah.
So you go to bed an hour earlier?
Yeah, well, no, there is a change, of course. I do adjust it upon the clock, but the time remains the same.
So, the time you sleep remains the same.
Yeah, and now it gets, we get rid of the winter time, I believe. So, now of the summertime, I think that's the Germans want the summertime. Well, anyways.
Other discussion.
It's under So anyways, you need to make sure that it's the same time, because what happens if you do so is your body will wake up naturally, but also will get sleepy naturally. And it all has to do with your circadian rhythm. So when the light hits your skin, there's even proof that if there's a laser pointer on your knee during the night, it will affect your sleep. We're that sensitive to light. So by doing this, getting this same time to go to bed and waking up, you'll get sleepy naturally and wake up naturally. So that's really easy to do, but a lot of people don't do this. They have very irregular hours, and this is messing with you. So that's the first thing. Second tip would be to create a sleep ritual, which is something to wind down, put your phones away an hour in advance, read a book, to really tell your body it's time to sleep. So because the artificial lights will trick your brain of saying, it's morning, wake up. If you're doing email an hour or 10 minutes before sleep, you're still in this stressed and awake state, right? Whereas if you would light a candle and read a book, you really tell your body it's time to sleep. So it's a natural way to make you sleep faster. And yeah, I think those are the most important tips that you can apply today to help you sleep better. And of course, the cliches, don't drink coffee and alcohol. A lot of people make the mistake of drinking a glass of wine, and it will indeed help you sleep faster, but it will definitely, just like the medication, not help you get quality sleep. So,
otherwise, order a Somnox.
That's the best thing you can do. Now, of course, you need to see if I'm stress-related insomnia. Well, then you might consider trying a sleep robot for you. And if you feel like, no, it's something else, it's my partner snoring, it's the lights of the outside, or I live next to a police office, well, then there's a different cause and the robot won't help. But if it's really about you being worried and stressed, waking up at 4 a.m. in the morning, not knowing what to do and wandering around the house, well, then you might consider trying it. Yep.
Great.
Yeah.
I have one last question. So
Sure.
when will it be available for like the for all the customers?
In December, so during Christmas, we have our launch.
Oh, it's not
basically.
only like the. I understood that it's like the Indiegogo Kickstarter customers that are getting the products, but in December it's available.
Yeah, so we will be available through the channels that I mentioned before. So the Amazon, Coolblue, Bol.com, our
and there will be a
web shop.
coupon for WimLex listeners, I guess.
Sure.
We need to negotiate about that. Later on.
We'll put a link in the description.
Yeah. Okay.
Nice.
I can really think about a couple of customers, including my wife, for example. I felt sleepy this morning because I woke up 4 a.m. for getting to the airport, but maybe that's not a problem the robot could solve. Maybe I can take it with me in the cab.
And if you fly KLM in the future, then
a small one, maybe a small robot would help. So which I could just in my pocket. Yeah, it's really interesting. It's really it's cool to hear about like a second business, hardware business from the Delft University. I think it's a huge market. I'm really interested in reading the first like customer reviews online, and congratulations to hit such a big success.
Thanks. Yeah.
And, thanks to being guest on the WimLex show.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Thanks for
a
having
lot,
me.
Julian.
Thanks a lot, and the next guest will be Bart, one of the founders, managing directors of Debt Agency. We are going to discuss the debt development and the Dutch market, so two very interesting topics in the light of e-commerce development and the Amazon economy, so stay tuned.